Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. Okay, let's start subscribing to our repository now. Okay, the code in this repository mainly draws from a UE4 action RPG. Okay, then we need to create some new things. First, let's go to our XRPG and find the Atom folder. Then we'll create some new things here. We need to create quite a few. Okay, we should put 8 files here. Then in our Commons folder, we might as well write it in there too. Here, we should put 2 groups. One is for our equipment, and one is for our warehouse component. Then let's go to the UI side. Let me put them all in for everyone. On this UI side, this is the panel of the warehouse. One is the slot of the warehouse. Then this equipment side is actually the same. The top side is also the same. Okay, then let's put this aside for now. Wait a moment. Wait, you can also follow us to create it. Then for this common part, we need to place 2 more. These are what we plan to place for the drag and drop functionality. Okay, then on the outside of it, we will also place another set. Release this outside. We mainly work on panels. We'll explain as we go along. And prevent this from constantly refreshing the project here. We'll just create a new one. Let's refresh. Okay, it's refreshed. Now, once here, let's first go into our item. After entering our item, let's first define an accumulation of assets for all our items. We'll name it Executum. That's it. This may involve some asset managers related to assets. You need to look into this on your own. Because the content here is quite deep, we need you to look it up yourselves. Verify it again. Okay, so here, first we include our small dependencies. Then include our engines, data asset header file. Then include our texture header file, because we definitely have a photo here. That is, there is a preview image, right? Then we include our reflection file here. So here we inherit a class. This class inherits from our engines data present class. And this class is mainly used for doing asset related work. Look, this part explains a lot. Let's just ignore it for now. After inheriting it, we give ourselves. Let's start writing what's inside this thing. What attributes does it have? We'll write the functions later. First of all, it has a parameter type. This is its parameter type. And at the same time, it also has a name. All of these need to be configured in Blueprint. Then there's also its description. Then its icon. Because we definitely need to select an icon for preview. Right, then its price. If you're making a shop, there must be a price. Then its maximum quantity. As for equipping, we can equip it. For items, this will definitely be 1. It must be greater than 0. Then we need to determine if it is consumable. We can just check its quantity. Then we also need to assign a level. Some items have level. You might need it later. So this is a return of a local name. These, and then here it returns its parameter. Then we will write its constructor here. For the constructor, we merely just initialize it and its level. Then we determine this is consume. We create it. When can it be consumed? That is, as long as its quantity is. Well, this should probably be written backwards. That is, if it is infinite. If it is less than or equal to 0, it proves that it cannot be consumed. Otherwise, it is considered a consumable item and can be consumed. Okay. These are all details. This function can be removed. It won't affect anything because we probably won't use it. Okay, next, we have this identify string. These are some common methods we defined. Okay, and here, it directly returns its portness. This portness, it just needs to be constructed in this way. Good. So this is the accumulation of our asset. It is an abstract class. Let's compile it. Now that the compilation is successful, since we have this predecessant field, we need to make some declarations for this field. Then go to our uphold tuple. Here, we declare these three fields. We set them as public. Here, declare these three fields. Actually, there is also a method here, which is that we can load assets. But we haven't used this method yet. This is a method I dug up from other parts of the project. It can be left here. Everyone can explore further and study in depth. In this course, we will not go into detail about handling asset-related matters because it involves things like original references and one-time loading. We will just directly include this code and leave it as is. This function will not be used. Because this entire assessment manager, we have only left some code for everyone. You may need to look into it more deeply on your own. This function will not be used. It is just placed here. Okay, let's go back to our side. Now that we have these three assets, next, let's create. This is our potion, right? This is the pickup item. This is equipment. We mainly need to complete this potion and this equipment. Then when we come back, we will rename and modify this item. So first of all, we have a piece of equipment. And next is our potion. Next is our token. Okay, so let's start with the potion. Since we have already made the potion, it is actually a skill. Since it is a skill, we will include it here. First, include the parent class code, paying code, the reflection file. Then we forward declare our gamma operability, and then let it inherit a class that inherits from our asset. Okay, after inheriting it, then we give a variable here. It points to the specific ability to be connected. Then we export this VTLV because it may have different abilities. Then in the constructor, we need to specify these things. First, we set the ability to 1 by default. Then we modify it at this point. The ascent type selected in the parent class is this. That is, in the parent class we defined this production type. As for this production type, it is actually the static thing we declare in our asset manager. We declare this static thing, but we cannot jump into this place. We can look at what we just wrote. In the subsystem, we write the state card for atoms. Such a type. Okay, good. So this is actually done. Let's compile this. We can know that our potion, it is implemented through this GA. Good, we have an error here. Let's take a look. An error is reported here. He doesn't know this potential type. Then let's go back here and check. Do we have this header file missing? It should be that we have something in the source file. Something is missing. Then let's include it. Let's first include this error character. It might be used later. Then also include the base class of this thing. Okay, the base class of the asset is fine because the base class of the asset, it should be included in the same file. This specific present type is still reporting an error here. Let's check again. See which position his bag is in. It mainly indicates this place. He doesn't know what this is. This is a very common problem we put in. That is, we forgot It is a static variable. We need to initialize it inside and outside. Okay, let's initialize it here. We just this I assigned it correctly. The static variable was not initialized. Now the compilation should pause. Then we go to our we compile and pass. We'll write all the tokens for the equipment. Okay, note that here our equipment is written a bit differently from before. Because for the equipment, we directly applied a permanent game effect to it. So that's how we wrote it. I just copied it over. There are relatively few codes. Here we only give one game effect. This game effect is a permanent one, inflated. This way, we can modify such an attribute. Okay, we'll just copy it over directly. And then here, we specify the type. So then just set its maximum count to 1. Then, let's take a look at this token. This token is something we haven't finished. We'll put it here. Okay, then here we specify this token, but we haven't actually indicated what type of thing it is. Good. At this point, if we compile it, it should pass. Okay. Good. So let's stop here for now. Later, we'll go ahead and write our directly write our warehouse component, then this specific resource, which model it actually corresponds to, or which texture it corresponds to, or which image. We need to do it in the blueprint later. Let's finish writing this C++ repository in one go. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Thank you all.